will mess Tennessee up. There you go.
Hello and welcome into another reality check here on the Matt O'Leary NY channel. I am your host, Matt O'Leary, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Jeremy, aka Jets Chaos. Jeremy, my friend, oh my God, was it a busy day in New York Jets land yesterday? I felt like I just worked through the entire afternoon into the late night doing all the recaps and live streams, the whole thing. But I didn't get your initial reaction. I know you've obviously seen the news. Both Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams traded away. So walk me through it yesterday. How are you feeling? Where were you? The reactions?
Oh my God, I'm like still recovering. Like it was not an easy day for me. There was excitement, yes, but it was not easy. There was a lot of emotions yesterday. I was actually in a session working, and I got to tell you, man, all I saw was Sauce traded, and my first thing was anger. You know, the first thing was anger because I didn't see the compensation. So my first instinct was, oh my God, they listened to those fans who said Sauce isn't that good. Like that, my first thing was like, what the hell just happened? What do you mean they traded Sauce? Like, how is that even possible? Because my assumption was it was for a first-round pick. Mm-hmm. One first-round pick. That was my assumption because that's what I thought. Like when people said, oh, trade Sauce Gardner, I thought, I'm not trading Sauce Gardner for a first-round pick and believing that we're going to be able to get a better player with a first-round pick than Sauce Gardner. I said, that's so stupid. We got him on a good contract. Why would we do that? But then when I saw the compensation, the two number one picks and the wide receiver, it occurred to me, I don't think that we picked up the phone and shopped Sauce Gardner.
No.
I think what happened was we probably told the league, I don't even think they expect. I think if I had to guess, they probably told the league, hey, we're not really trading him. I mean, if you wanted to give us 2 firsts and a player or something, but other than something crazy, it's not going to happen. And I think the Colts freaking called and said, you said something about 2 first round. You know what I mean? Like, I honestly don't think that there was any plan to trade him. I just think that for them, 2 first-round picks and a wide receiver that's in his second year that still could potentially work out to have some kind of role in the NFL was just too much for them to pass up.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking too, right? Like I saw the tweet come across my feed. I got a push notification, so I got my phone buzzed and I looked and I said, "Holy shit! They actually traded Sauce Gardner?" And I was just like waiting on pins and needles to see what that trade compensation was going to be for Sauce. And then, like you said, ended up being 2 firsts and A.D. Mitchell, who was a second-round pick a year ago, hasn't done a lot yet in the NFL, productive player in college at Texas. But I think, and Muji spoke, was it late yesterday or early this morning? It's all kind of blending together for me, but the point still stands. He essentially said the Colts called a few weeks ago and their initial offer was low, and that he was like, no, we're not trading Sauce Gardner. And as time went on and as the deadline got closer, they kept upping and upping and upping their package. And eventually it got to a point where it was the 2 first-round picks plus A.D. Mitchell. And then, shortly after that, you get the Quinnen Williams trade. And after many reports, we finally find out that it's a second-round pick this year, a first-round pick in 2027, and Mazi Smith, who hasn't been very good in the NFL, but whatever. He's a throw-in. That's not really the main point of the trade package. So all said and done, you net 3 first-round picks in total and a second-round pick. So you are looking at 2 firsts this year, 2 seconds this year, 3 firsts next year, and another second next year. So that's a lot of draft capital, Jeremy, to do some damage with.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what people, I know people say, oh, but draft picks aren't guaranteed. These we knew were good players. These were good players getting paid a lot of money. So that's another thing to factor in. We got more than the picks by unloading their money. And here's what I mean. Not that they were bad contracts, but when you talk about replacement, right? And it doesn't mean directly replacing the player, that we have to get a defensive tackle that's as good as Quinnen Williams. People need to understand, like Tigo says, by the aggregate, meaning just make the team better, right?
Correct.
So it's the two, like, let's say for Sauce, right? It's the 2 first-round picks and whatever $30 million a year buys you from 27, 28, 29, 30. Like, that money is back on the books. Like, we're going to have $30 million. So whatever, we might never have a direct understanding of where that 30 million went. But in 2027 offseason or 28 offseason, if we sign a guy for $28 million, like a really good WR2, just an example, or an amazing safety, or maybe 2 really good players, one 18 million, one 12 million, understand that $30 million were on the books because Sauce isn't there. So it's not only the 2 guys you picked, you now have those 2 players in place of Sauce Gardner that you would not have been able to pay that $30 million worth of money to. So you have to look at it like that. I'm not, look, I love Sauce. I got his jersey, man. This hurt me, right? But there's no way to deny there's tons of compensation here, which is bringing my point is, I don't think anybody should be so extreme of saying, fire this GM, this is a terrible thing, or this is the greatest thing in the world and Sauce sucked. I think both those takes are wrong. I think that we got really great compensation, but we gave away a really, really good player.
Yeah, they gave away 2 of their 4 best players, right, with Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner. And the reason why they were able to get so much for both of those guys is because they're 2 really good players. Both are a top 5 corner and a top 5 interior defensive lineman. And I just don't want to play the game now that they're no longer Jets. And you're going to go, well, actually, they kind of sucked here. And I'm glad that they moved on. You could be happy about the draft capital you got in return and excited about this team's future. I'll get into it in a second on why, but they are in the short term taking away 2 of your best players with the hope that you are going to draft the right guys and build this thing really from the ground up. I feel like it's a teardown when you trade 2 of those main key pieces in Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner. And we mentioned all the picks, Jeremy, this year, 2 firsts and 2 seconds. They are projected to have now, after trading away those guys and freeing up the money, $117 million in cap space for the 2026 offseason.
Yeah. And look, the truth is, and somebody said in the chat, right? We gave away proven players. That's like a very important thing to understand. We gave away proven players, right? Which means there's 2 ways to look at it. You could look at a trade and say, did the GM do a good job with the value that was offered and what he gave away at the time with the information he had, right? So that could always be debated forever. People are always going to say, in this moment, was it a good trade or not? Did the trade work out for the organization? We might not know for 4 years, right? But in 4 years, we could look back and say, we're in the AFC East Championship game with a bunch of great players, and some of those great players came from those trades, and be like, it worked out for us. And it could work out for the Colts. Maybe the Colts go deep in the playoffs. Maybe they win the Super Bowl next year, right? So it could be like it could win for both teams. But the point is like in 2028, if we're looking back at it and we have, this trade and these 2 trades led to great players, and now here we are in the playoffs again for the first time in forever, we could look back at it and say, okay, in the moment I didn't agree with it, but it worked out really well. Or even us who agree, like, even if you agree with it now, later on would say, well, that blew up in our face. Like, we're not going to know really how it worked until, it unfolds.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you worded it that way, because anyone who's, texted me or DM'd me or whatever and asked me, what do I think? I say, like, we don't know. This can be really good for the Jets, right? They have a lot of picks now, but you have to also choose the right players, and you have to hit on quarterback. That's obviously the most important thing. And if they do those things, then yeah, this could be awesome. We could be looking back at this 5 years from now and say, wow, remember November 4th, that trade deadline in 2025 where, they traded Sauce Gardner away and Quinnen Williams, and then you got these picks, and you rattle off the 4 or 5 guys who are on the team, in 3-4 years from now, whatever. And it could be great. Or like, we have to realize there is a possibility, no one wants this to happen, but draft picks are not guarantees. If you pick the wrong guys, like the last time this happened, the Jets missed on Zach Wilson second overall, and that's why they've been so bad over the last few years. Right. It doesn't matter that they hit on Sauce and Garrett and Jermaine and AVT and all those guys from the 21 and 22 class, because they missed on the quarterback.
And I think what we're going to be talking about this later, and we'll get more into it. If you missed on quarterback, none of this matters. Whether you kept Quinnen and Sauce, whether you trade them and get great players in return, if we don't get quarterback right, none of it matters. At some point, I want, it's not good enough for me for 95% of the Jet fans to understand this. I need 100%. I can't deal with anyone saying that underestimating how important it is and how critical it is that this organization gets a quarterback. Like, everything is about quarterback. It starts at quarterback. If we don't have the quarterback, we're never going to get what we want. What do we want? We want a Super Bowl, very obviously. But what would be nice, though, the overall picture of that Super Bowl is, I want to run like New England has. I want to run like Pittsburgh is having, in the sense of they won Super Bowls and they keep winning every year. I want the run add the Super Bowl to what Buffalo is doing right now with Josh Allen. I want the run that Baltimore is having add the Super Bowl, with Lamar Jackson. Sustainable winning, right? Let's have a great team for a decade. That every year we go into the year thinking we're going to have a Super Bowl. That's what we want. If you want that, it's a quarterback. That's the number one thing it starts with, is a quarterback. Everything else, you need things too. But it starts with quarterback. If you don't have it, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's so true. And I was rattling it off yesterday. One, like, before you even go league wide, let's look in the division. You're in a division with Josh Allen and Drake May. You need a quarterback who can compete with those two guys if you ever want a chance of sniffing a division win at some point. And then you're in a conference with, throw in addition to those two guys, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. I mean, that's 6 really damn good quarterbacks in your own conference. You have to have that in order to compete in this league. And I'm not like, I don't want it to be twisted and I'm saying like defense doesn't matter. Of course, I don't want the Jets to have the worst defense in the NFL, but no, it doesn't matter if you don't have the quarterback. We saw what this team looked like with an elite defense, and they won 7 games in 2022 and 23.
Yeah, it's just, you need a quarterback. I mean, it's just so obvious. And I mentioned Pittsburgh. What has Pittsburgh done since Ben left? The great coach, great. They're a great organization at drafting good players, and they have a winning record every year, but you don't see them contending for the Super Bowl anymore. All they're missing is the quarterback. That's why they went out for A-Rod, hoping that he has enough left to do it, right? That was their whole point. They're taking one shot. They're taking a shot at it. But, like, the point is, you need a quarterback. And it's just, I'll say it 1,000 times over and over. Like, that's what it is. That's what all of this is. Just, yes, when you do find the quarterback, you have to protect him. You have to do this. You have to do that. We have to find, I don't know, we're going to have to see if Estrand is the right coach for him. Everyone keeps saying Aaron Glenn's not the right guy to develop a quarterback. Can we stop, knock off the nonsense? The head coach's job is not to develop the quarterback. It's the offensive coordinator and the offensive staff.
Correct.
It's Estrand. That's what we're talking about. Can Estrand and his offensive staff develop a quarterback? It has nothing to do with Aaron Glenn. Nothing to do.
No.
So, we got to stop this nonsense of thinking it's Aaron Glenn that's going to determine whether we could develop a quarterback. Also, our history of developing quarterbacks means absolutely nothing. It's this regime. It's Estrand. That's all that matters. Can they develop a quarterback? And the answer to that is, we don't know.
We don't know. Yep. We have no idea, and we're not going to know. And you're right. Like, I love, and I'm saying love sarcastically here, but it never works out for the Jets drafting a quarterback, and they're just setting themselves up. They're going to draft one again, and that guy's not going to work. Well, what are you going to do? Stop trying? Be like, we failed at this. It's the most important position in the sport. We haven't hit on it yet. So we're going to just fold up shop and say, that's it.
Yeah. So many times. Oh, you drafting a quarterback doesn't work. Oh, so let's just not have a great quarterback. I mean, look, I will agree with the people who are against tanking that say you don't have to pick a quarterback in the top 5 to have a great quarterback. We know that because Lamar Jackson was picked at the end of the round. Aaron Rodgers was picked at the end of a round. Even Josh Allen, even though they traded up to 7, he was like the 4th or 5th quarterback picked, right? Yep. So it's true. it's true that we don't know for sure that you necessarily have to have the first pick, but what we do know is you have to get the pick right. Like when you choose to draft a quarterback, it has to be right.
And that's most important. Jack chimes in with the super chat. Thank you so much, Jack. Says, don't know if we covered this, but Blewett has been doing A.D. Mitchell film all day, and he looks great besides the blocking. Thoughts on him? I think there's a lot of talent there with A.D. Mitchell. He was a second-round pick. I believe he was taken 52nd overall by the Colts.
We loved him as a prospect. You had, you know, for that draft, you had Neighbors and Harrison
and
Odunze. Those were the guys we all talked about. I think there was one other,
Brian Thomas.
Brian Thomas that Domsey really liked. His fifth ranked wide receiver that we did a show on it, and he talked about him was Mitchell. That was Domsey's fifth ranked wide receiver in a great class, right? Look at the guys that were in front of him. He had him behind four guys that are all really good receivers, and we were super excited. Like if we would have grabbed him, I did mock drafts where I grabbed him at the second round and was happy he slipped. And, like we were really excited about him. I don't think that we're deep enough in to know that he's a bust or not working out. Like we're talking about, he had one season and now 8 games, and he did get in the doghouse because he pulled a Malachi Corley kind of, right? He did the drop the
ball throw.
I don't think he did the thing where he dropped it to look cool. I think he was going to celebrate and he switched and then he fumbled the ball. Like I don't think he did the thing where he just coolly tried to drop the mic. Mm-hmm. My big point to that was the question that I have on that play when he dropped that ball going into the end zone was Malachi Corley basically came out afterwards and said, "No, I'm not embarrassed," which to me was the biggest slap in the face in the world. So it's all about how he reacted to that I care about. As long as Mitchell said that was the biggest mistake of my life and it's never going to happen again, then it doesn't affect us. The Colts have to live with it. As long as he never does as a Jet, I don't care, right? Like as long as he learned his lesson. But anyway, I just think that, if you look at this guy Quentin Johnson for the Chargers, you have all the information you need that sometimes wide receivers don't always start out great and that they could just break out in their second or third year. Like that happens.
Yeah. And I don't think the expectation for him has to be like, oh, he's got to be a number 1 receiver. Even if he's this team's number 3 receiver after, you draft someone or sign someone or trade for someone, like whatever path they get there. Great. And who knows, maybe, over the last 9 games, he goes off and looks really good and you're comfortable with him as a number 2. That's not my expectation for him, though. I don't think that's fair based on what we've seen. He has the talent to do it. But for me, I'm going to go what I would consider maybe a little bit on the conservative side and say that I'm cautiously optimistic he can be the 3rd wide receiver on this team next year.
Yeah. I mean, well, that would be great, right? I mean, if he's solid enough that you have your 1 and your 2 in your slot, and then if one of the 2 wide receivers get hurt, he comes in and he's a solid guy, and he could put up Tyler Johnson actually did a good job, for us. It was against a crappy defense, but but let's assume you were playing any defense. If that's what Mitchell could be, like a guy that if somebody goes down, he could come in and have a good game for you and be reliable, and even sometimes come in on 4 receiver packages and be reliable, then he was a throw-in with 2 number 1 picks. Like, who are we to, it doesn't cost a lot. He was a 2nd round pick. He's not expensive. I mean, that would just be really a great bonus for us, right? We just kind of check off a box of what you need on a roster. You need a WR4.
Yeah. You absolutely do. And we'll see, right? Like to me, there's no point of trotting Allen Lazard out there or Josh Reynolds when he eventually gets healthy. I want to see what Arian Smith, who you drafted this year, Adonai Mitchell, and John Mechie that you got in the trade with Michael Carter, what are they going to do now going forward? And can they be just rosterable NFL players for you, right? Like
you already said to the world, we're in a rebuild. Can we please start evaluating players? I'm not saying to tank. I'm saying we should evaluate the players. We should know what we have. Let them play. Let's see what we have. We're rebuilding, right? And I want them to be competitive and try and play hard because I want to see what they can do.
Zachary chimes in here. I don't know if I agree with this. He says the people that are saying this is a fire sale are wrong. We only traded 2 players. Yeah, you only traded 2 players, but you traded 2 of your top 4, 3 or 4 players on the team, and your 2 best defensive players, and got what we just went through 3 first-round picks and a second-round pick for it. That's I guess I'm arguing over semantics, but that's a pretty big move to make and it's going to hurt in the short term because you traded off those guys. I would qualify that as a fire sale. Am I being too nitpicky, Jeremy, or are you with Zach?
I mean, I'm kind of in the middle. I mean, I don't. The reason that I think it's a little bit more of the reason I would say it wasn't a fire sale completely in my mind, because I'm kind of with you on the look what we gave up. Look at the 2 players that we did trade. Feels like a fire sale, but at the same time, a fire sale to me feels purposeful, and I don't feel like we were shopping sauce. I think that was just something that happened.
Okay.
You know what
Fair
I mean?
enough.
So I think we really just traded Q, and then the sauce thing just happened, and it became maybe a fire sale to an extent, but it wasn't like we went into the trade deadline and said, fire sale, let's just get rid of everybody. Like, although I do think we were shopping other guys that we just didn't get enough back. So it may have been a fire sale that just didn't work out, like as far as the volume of players. For all we know, the intention was to trade, maybe not sauce, but they were going to trade 3 other guys. Maybe Breece Hall was supposed to go. Maybe Jermaine Johnson was supposed to go. We don't know, right?
Yeah, I don't think they got the returns they were looking for on those 2 guys. I think for Jermaine, supposedly they were looking for a second, and for Breece, supposedly they were looking for a 3. And my thought is if they get offered either of those 2 things, they're probably not here right now.
Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, I believe the reports that we had a price for those guys. Like those reports, I actually believe. I believe the Jets wanted those reports out there. Like when people say, "Oh, but you said that we don't let things leak." Some things you let leak.
Yes.
You let the price leak. You want the league to know. You want everybody to know that you're selling something, right? Like, hey, 3rd-round pick, we'll give you this guy, But obviously, no one bit from what they were asking. I'm sure that people called and said, "I'll give you a 4th," and we said no.
Yeah, no. This kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Jetster chiming in saying, "Stop with this. They were not playing great," meaning Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams. My rebuttal to that would be if they weren't playing great, or weren't good players, they wouldn't have yielded 3 first-round picks and a second-round pick.
Right. We obviously have trouble evaluating our own play. I'm guilty of this too. I'm not accusing Jester of this. I think we all are as fans. I think it's the reason why we shouldn't gamble on our own teams. I think that we have a lot of bias and emotion messing with it, and sometimes you should just let the rest of the league tell you what players are, because I think the rest of the league kind of told us what those 2 players are.
Yeah, good point. Curly's in with the super chat, says, "Not a fire sale, it's a dumpster fire."
Dumpster fire.
right now it is. Sitting at 1-7. After this move, I guess my question for you is, has your thought or expectation changed over the final 9 games for what you think is going to happen or what you want to see?
I mean, obviously, you could say it's going to be harder to win, but I think if AZ Thomas keeps playing well the way Stevens has been playing, not that there's not still a big drop off because he's a rookie, and I'm not saying he's going to be sauce, but I think that is something that you could kind of survive and take your punches on more than what we just did to our defensive line. Like because people don't understand, even if Q wasn't getting tons of tackles or sacks or behind the limit runs, loss of yards, tackles, he takes up 2 guys. People double team him. And we might not, you know what I mean? So what might change is we no longer have that presence on the line that people double team, right? Which means that could impact the success of the other defensive linemen. So I think that's the bigger hit. That's just my opinion. I just think that's the bigger hit. If Stevens keeps playing the way he has the last few games, and AZ Thomas minus the 1 play to Hendricks that a lot of people got locked into and just forgot about the rest of every other play in the game, he actually he had a great first start as a rookie. Like, it really went well for him that game. If you take away, he got beat by a freaking really good player on 1 play. And for the rest of the game, he played very well. So if he plays very well, and Stevens keeps playing the way he's been playing the last bunch of weeks, I think we could be okay in our secondary. But man, I don't see any hope for the defensive line. We just got a lot weaker there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough, and especially because Quinning's your best run stopping player, and they were struggling against the run to begin with. So I just see that as getting worse, unfortunately. And again, it's going to stink in the short term. I don't know, what they're going to look like win-loss record-wise at the end of the year after making these two moves, but that's not what it's about. It's about looking to the future, and that's one of the things that I wanted to hit on today was start looking towards the future.
Yes.
So we'll do that in just a moment. We're going to look to the future, but we got to give a call out first, Jeremy, to our lovely sponsor here on the show and say thank you to Sleeper for being the sponsor of the channel. Think you know football, then try to turn your football knowledge into real money with the Sleeper app, the ultimate fantasy sports app that can turn game day into payday. Just download the Sleeper app and pick more or less on your favorite players with more stats than any other daily fantasy app. Just choose 2 or more of your favorite players from pregame or live. Pick more or less than the predicted stats, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money if your picks win. Use promo code O'Leary, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. New offer. There's a free $20 no deposit required promo. Terms and conditions apply. Okay. I teased it. I want to get into that now with you, Jeremy. Another thing that I've been asked a lot, and we got into debating this on Talking Jets last night, the future quarterback situation for this team. Where are you at with this? Is it you're taking one in 2026? You can't take one in 2026. You got to wait till 2027, or are the Jets trading for a veteran quarterback? Because I've seen takes on all 3 of these being thrown out there today.
Look, it's tricky, and I heard some of that discussion yesterday, Matt, and I'm with you on the not wanting to wait till 2027, and to just have the guarantee of we still don't have a quarterback, and we're going to just another year just gets burned with nothing. I mean, not that I think we're winning the Super Bowl next year, but I'm talking about with no movement, no excitement, no give us that feeling that we're actually going in the right direction. But I also don't believe in taking a guy because you just have to take a guy if it's not your guy. Meaning, and it's not what I want, and we all could yell Simpson and Moore and Fernandez and all these names. It's what they want. Like, in other words, if they have their guy and that guy is available, then there's no question in my mind. You take him when he's there to take. I would have taken, and people give me crap for this, and it might turn out to be that I look like a fool, and that's fine. Or it might turn out I look really smart. I would have taken JJ McCarthy a year ago or 2 years ago. Like, JJ McCarthy would be a Jet right now if I was the GM. And that's the truth. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't mad at the Olu pick. I'm not saying that.
No.
I wasn't mad at it. I just said that would be my pick. That's my opinion, right? Because I love the prospect. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But my point is, if you love a prospect at quarterback, if you have a quarterback that you love, you take him. It's not, we got to wait till 20. No, if you love a quarterback, you grab the quarterback. But if we pick, let's say, 4th or 3rd even, and we like 2 guys, and both those guys are off the board, I think, okay, maybe you trade for a veteran. I don't know if is there a guy open. I don't like a lot of the names I hear, but I do like the Burrows. When I hear Burrows,
you're not in on Kyler Murray, Jeremy?
I am not in on Kyler Murray. No, I am not in on average. I am not trading all our first-round picks for average. And Kyler Murray, these are just guys. They're just guys. They're good. They're real. They're better than what we've had. I'm not denying that. They're better than what we've had. But they're not what makes you that franchise, right? Look what it takes to be that sustainable, we want to be great for 10 years franchise. It's not Kyler Murray.
No.
It's not Kyler Murray. It's not CJ Stroud yet, because so far since his rookie year, he hasn't been that good. Maybe he's going to bounce back. I don't know. But those guys are not those guys for me. Burrow's been to a Super Bowl, but he gets hurt a lot. So, I mean, what I'm hoping for is that we don't have to worry about this, and that whoever they love is just there when we pick. That, I don't want to. I never root against the Jets. I don't root for the tank. I don't root for them to lose. But at the same time, when it's all said and done, I just hope that somehow we fall in a spot where we can get the guy that we want. And, maybe we could take if we were in the 4th position, maybe we could take a 2nd round pick, a 3rd next year, some kind of package, because we have a bunch of picks now, and move up those 2 spots without giving away any of the firsts and still get our guy, but I'm all about taking the quarterback. I want a young quarterback. Unless a miracle happens and Cincinnati decides we're really stupid and they want to part with Burrows at a reasonable price.
Yeah, I don't really love the idea of trading for a veteran quarterback. I don't think you acquire all these picks to just throw off your timeline again with bringing in a veteran quarterback in a more win now mode. I think this is, a build it up from the ground floor kind of scenario. And at least for me, I don't know if Dante Moore is coming out this year, but let's even just play the game that he's not. I like Fernando Mendoza and Ty Simpson enough to take one of those 2 guys with the Jets pick, assuming that both guys are on the board. If they're gone, though, like if the Jets are picking 4th in this example, which I don't think is pretty likely. I think they're going to finish with the top 2 or 3 pick, but and both those guys are gone. At the same time, you don't want to force it and take a quarterback just to take a quarterback and reach for one. The thing that worries me is you have to wait till next year route. Is that can't start getting kicked down the line a little bit more, and you push this off and you push this off, and the Jets kind of did that in 2018. They could have took Mahomes or Watson before he went AWOL with the 6th overall pick, and instead they took a box safety and Jamal Adams. And they waited that extra year to take the quarterback. And, I think that we just get in this habit sometimes of, next year is the class that you got to do it.
I think when it's the guy, it's just when you find the guy. When the guy is there, you don't say next year. You take him. It's too important. If you believe in him, it doesn't mean you're right. I'm saying, but if you really believe a guy is going to be great, if you think we think this guy's going to be a great NFL quarterback, but we're waiting till next year, you're a fool. Yeah, I'm sorry, but you're a fool. We've been waiting this for 40 years for this organization. We've drafted a couple of good ones, but they've gotten hurt. Ken O'Brien, Pennington. But we've been waiting forever to have a franchise quarterback that just plays on this team for over a decade. If you think you have that guy, you have to take him.
Yeah.
To me, it's just like a no-brainer. You absolutely have to take them. That's why if they loved Dart, if they loved him and they traded back to 20 and took him, regardless of how I feel, I would have understood it. If they loved him, if you love a quarterback, you have to take him when you have a chance to get him.
Yeah. No, you're
they loved him enough. They could have taken him at 7. But
yeah,
obviously they didn't love him enough to do that.
Dante's in with the super chat, says, do not pick Ty Simpson. We need experience on this team. I want a college quarterback with more than 1 year of starts. I don't care how good he is in college. And look, I think that is the fair criticism with Ty Simpson. I think how he plays, though, in those starts matter. And, he sat for a while, too. It's not like, he's I get it. He doesn't have a ton of starting experience under his belt. Fully admitting that and saying that's a fair red flag to bring up, but it's not like this was his freshman year and there's some exception he's coming out after, no experience whatsoever. He still was in a quarterback room at Alabama for, 2-3 years previous to this before he was starting games.
Yeah. I personally have a big gap between Mendoza and the rest of the quarterbacks in this draft. And it's not based on whether I don't think that these guys could be good quarterbacks. It's based on just the risk factor from what I've seen. The systems that they're in, what they're being asked to do. I just think that Mendoza checks a lot more boxes, where I see that evidence of what he can do. I always talk about that. I don't think the guys that don't have enough evidence, I'm not saying they're not going to be great quarterbacks. I'm saying that for me personally, it feels more risky because I'm not seeing them do certain things that I know you have to be able to do in the NFL. Doesn't mean they can't do it. It could be the system doesn't ask them to do it. Not their fault. I just think if you're going to go top 3 pick on a quarterback, I've learned from the Zach Wilson thing. I just want to see a guy doing the things, checking the boxes they're supposed to be checking. But I acknowledge this for sure more than anything. Man, none of us know what we're talking about with quarterback. You know,
It's
we'll
so
give
it's a
our
crapshoot.
opinions, but I mean, we're wrong. We're all wrong all the time. I mean, and sometimes we're right, you know, and sometimes we're wrong, and it's just throwing darts. And I don't know anybody that's just consistently right.
Yeah, NFL GMs are
Right,
wrong all the
right.
time. Like
They're
there
wrong.
is no perfect formula to
Yeah.
this, right? Like it's not, oh, you got to have the guy who is the 4-year starter and that's always going to work out, or you absolutely can't take the guy who's only the 1-year starter. It's or
There's
what school you went to, right? There's so many factors that go
there's
into
just
it.
no way to. There's two things you can't predict that I think are almost impossible to predict or so hard to predict. It's so hard to predict if a college quarterback is going to get able to go to the NFL and process and slow the game down enough and have the game not be too fast for them. Do they have the processing speed, right, to play at the NFL level? That's number one. So hard to gauge that. Really, really hard. There's some evidence. Obviously, we make some, you know, they do something right. We got a lot of great quarterbacks come from the first or second round in a draft, but it's so hard to know for sure. And then the second thing is if that player is going to gain that ability. Like even if they don't have it and they, you know, and they struggle in their career, are they going to eventually develop it, like with coaching or just experience? Because we've seen players struggle in the NFL and then 5-6 years in, suddenly, you know, depending on the player, suddenly all of a sudden the game slows down for them and they're a lot better and they start to do really well. So it's so hard. It's such a crapshoot, you know, and that's why I'm almost at the point where it's like, man, take one every year until you find one.
Until you find it.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. I don't know what the answer is.
Mo, friend of the show, says, I knew Zach Wilson was a bum, and you two stooges argued with me about it. And Mendoza is also a bum. Well, Mo thinks everyone sucks. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
It's very easy when all you do is put down everything the Jets do to be right. Because the Jets have sucked for 15 years. So for 15 years, the New York Jets have made Mo Dean look like a genius. But I will tell you this, if they ever figure it out and get good, then everything that Mo Dean will have said before they get good will be proven wrong.
I wanted
I've
on
always said that. It's very easy to say every year say everything negative about the Jets, and you're going to be right every year. But the year they turn good, now you're just a guy who is saying it because it was every year, who really didn't put thought to it because you weren't able to really tell when they were going to turn it around.
I want it on record right now, this minute, who Bo Dean's quarterback one is. And we will look. We will go back to this video 3 years from now, and we will have our answer on what quarterback Mo Dean said the Jets should pick and see if he's right. Anyway, we keep going. I'm going to go back and name one YouTube content creator who said the Jets would suck in the last 6 seasons. In each of the last 6 seasons, or in every single one?
I mean, and by the way, Modine, as a Jet content creator, who would want to watch our show if we just came in and said, yeah, we suck. These players suck.
Well, I picked them to have a losing record this year. I picked them to have a losing record in 2020 and 2021.
I said 7 wins this year would be amazing. Like it would be overperformed. Like we'd be blown away. We have a great coach. So yeah, so that's true. But I also wouldn't use the words, "Oh, we suck. It's worthless. It's hopeless." Because why would anybody want? I don't know why anybody would want to watch that. Like if we were just pure negative and had no hope and didn't look for positives, that's what we want to do. We all want to get together as a group and just talk about how there's no hope and how bad we suck. Like we're not like isn't there room to even like to talk about like the hope we have and you know kind of think about what could go right also that
go through scenarios of hey, if this and this goes well, then this can happen. If it doesn't,
I've been through it before. Most of my 40 plus years as a Jet fan have been negative, most. But there's been cycles of great, right? And I know as bad as it's been 15 years, I know it's going to end. We're not going to be bad for another 30 years. I don't know if it's going to be 2 years from now or 3 years. I don't know. I know that it will end because I've been through this before. We will have our cycle. We'll either, but whether it's hitting the right coach, who then finds the quarterback, or we find the right quarterback, and then if the coach is not right, you get the coach because you have the quarterback to attract the coach. It will happen. I remember how it felt when we got Rex Ryan and we knew what the roster looked like, and everybody kind of felt it and knew it, and it happened. So one day it'll happen.
One day it will happen.
Hopefully sooner than later, because I'm getting really tired of losing.
Yep. I am too. Let's get back into some of the comments. Peter S says, I agree with you, Matt. We got to hit on so many picks, but also good free agents too, and build around the new young quarterback. So he's got no excuses to succeed. That's it. That's Peter hit it on the head here with this comment. The most important thing now for the New York Jets is to find their quarterback and to leave no room for error, right? You got to have a strong wide receiver room. The offensive line's on its way. Make sure the offensive line's good for him. Figure out what you're doing at running back. Are you keeping Breece Hall or are you bringing someone else in? If you're moving on from Breece, okay, find someone that you're going to bring in pair with Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis. You need another tight end. Jeremy Ruckert's on an expiring deal. Stone Smart and Jelani Woods, I'm not sure if they have a pulse, Jeremy. I haven't seen anything from either of those two guys this year. So Peter is correct in saying that this is the next important step for this football team.
Yeah, I mean, look, to me, when I say it's all quarterback, I'm not saying that quarterback can then go out and play by himself. I'm saying is none of the good players you put around them matter until you have a good quarterback. But once you have the quarterback or get the quarterback, even if you have some good players in place, yes, now it's a lot of teams have good quarterbacks, or there's a bunch of good quarterbacks in the league. Josh Allen hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, and Buffalo's put some good players around them. So they're, you know what I mean? So this is not an easy league. It's not easy to be the best out of 32 teams. So yeah, we got to get the quarterback, and then we got to keep adding good pieces. I think what's nice about this rebuild, and I'm going to call it a rebuild blatantly, because if at this point, if you don't know it's a rebuild, I can't help you. But I'm going to call this rebuild a little bit better than the last one, in the sense that we're starting with more, like in other words, the offensive line, Mason Taylor, Garrett Wilson, like the offense is not that far off. You know what I mean? When the quarterback comes in, there's not much missing. Get him a wide receiver too. We have to figure out the interior guard situation a little bit, but there's not that much. Like we're close. As long as we get that WR2 in there for that quarterback, the offensive line, he's got his bookend tackles for the future. I mean, as long as those guys keep developing and going in the right direction, there's a lot to be hopeful for with this offense. The defense is what's going to take some time, possibly. I mean, like finding the quarterback, which is no guarantee. So that's the hardest part. But even when you do that, now it's like, okay, defense. But defense is the kind of thing where if you have the offense together and you're just drafting and putting tons of resources in, you could build a defense.
Blitz Cruz back with the super chat says, I'm fine with handcuffing Breece with the franchise for a year. I want the rookie quarterback to have someone to lean on aside from Garrett. So Breece Hall obviously did not get traded. I kind of agree with this, right? Like, I don't think you keep Breece Hall around to then just let him leave for nothing. Like, that seems like a bad practice. What do you make of this?
I mean, if Breece Hall wants to be here, I mean, to me, that's important, right? If he wants to be here, whether you sign a deal for him, however it works out, I personally would like, if we draft a rookie quarterback for Breece Hall, I don't want him to have Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis as his running backs in a draft pick. I would love for him to have Breece. I would love for him to have a guy who, if could go out for passes, who can be a good receiving running back, who could be a leader in the huddle. But he's got to want to be here.
Yeah.
That's, to me, the key. He's got to want to be here.
For sure. You can't just, hold them hostage and keep him here. I think he wants, if he wants to be here, I want to bring him back. I don't want him a malcontent, right? Like, if there's no way you're salvaging the relationship with Breece Hall and he wants to just get out of here no matter what, then yeah, not bending over backwards for the guy. But if there's a world where you can make it work with Breece, I think it makes sense to have that stable of running backs in the running back room for your young quarterback, whoever that may be.
Yeah.
Barney says it's not even a rebuild. It's a retry. Doesn't even deserve the word build until we actually build something.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Okay. But I mean, if you want to get technical in that feeling, but I mean, they call it a rebuild when you trade a couple your stars away and, get a lot of draft picks and you got a new head coach and you're going to get a new quarterback. And, I'm just using the terminology that anybody in football would typically use, but I get the point. I get the sentiment.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on it. It should be a rebuild. It is a rebuild, but the build doesn't necessarily have to mean a positive, right? Like we all want it to be a positive rebuild, but there's been rebuilds that have gone wrong. Example, the last time the Jets did it because they missed on the quarterback. And Jeremy, here we go again. It just all loops in together. None of this rebuild matters if you don't get the quarterback right.
I mean, it's just we see it like it's just the most evident. Like it's the most. There's nothing that you could back up with more evidence than that. Like in this league and in the NFL. Like then, as far as players are concerned, because I do believe in coaching very much, but as far as in personnel wise for the players on the field, like like there's just no argument. It's by far the most important position. It's like so critical. Look how many things a great quarterback can erase, like based on their skill sets. Like, do you know how many holes the Kansas City Chiefs would have if it wasn't for Mahomes the last few years?
Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo, like Buffalo without Josh Allen, like what's their offense? Like suddenly I don't think Cook is as scary because you could stack if you don't have a good quarterback, you stack the box and Cook is a small guy. Their RB2 is Ty Johnson. Their offensive line is not that, they have some of our garbage. Their offensive, like I've seen guys named McGovern playing for them, this is but when you have a top 3 quarterback in the NFL, an MVP candidate quarterback, it covers up a lot of problems.
Look at this. The biggest Brees Hall supporter, Dano, chimes in and says, my max for Brees Hall is 3 for 30. I'd be in on 3 for 30 for Brees Hall. Sure. Jeremy?
It's 10 million and we got tons of money.
Yeah. I think I was thinking 2 for 24. So 12 million. It's a little bit more than what Dano was saying here, but one less year. 3 for 30. Yeah.
A lot of people are putting him at 12 million a year. And I got to say that's generous if you look at his production.
Oh yeah.
12 million a year is very generous via his production. But I got to say, the teams have been putting 8-9 guys in the box against us. And he's still on pace to get 1,200 yards rushing and 1,500 from scrimmage. If you look at his numbers, he's on that pace in spite of the fact that we've had terrible quarterback play in most of our games where guys are stacking the box. So, there is that element of it. Like you do have to put context into things too.
Yeah, you do have to give more context. Ryan says 3 for 34. Dano's out on 2 for 24, even the $6 million less dollars that he handed out.
Not only is he out, he's out. Like Kramer.
Yeah. I'm out, Jerry. I'm out. That's good. I like that. We got just kind of all over the place here, but here's a question from Dano. Does selling 2 defensive pieces make you more, less, or just as inclined to extend Quincy Williams? I'll toss this to you first.
I'm just kind of neutral about it. I think that these guys are overvalued. And it's not that I don't like him. I think he's made some nice plays and everything, but he's also extremely undisciplined. Like we never talk about the big plays because he overcommits, gets fooled, is fooled by misdirection. So I think that sometimes we overvalue these players. I think Quincy has been overall great for the price. We picked him up off the garbage heap, and he's brought a lot, I mean, overall, and a lot of people in the chat are going to say it, we haven't won anything. So it's hard to really keep praising all these players. Like we act like all these players are so good, yet we can't fucking win. So like, how good could they be? Right. Like, but for him, if you watch the tape, he makes some big plays that makes us really like him. And that's like a thing when you just like emotionally remembering 1 or 2 plays. But if you watch film, when I watch all 24 in him, there's a lot of big plays that happen because he's in the wrong place. Yeah. Like, it's the same thing in reverse with Michael Clemens. We hate him because we remember all the dumb, bad things he does. There's also reps I found where he does really good things. Right. So, and I'm not a Michael Clemens guy, right? I mean, he's not part of our future at all. Don't worry about it. I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to make the point that it's like you will remember certain plays, certain moments of the game, but we will forget that, like, when you watch tape and you watch what a player's doing, there's a whole bunch of other reps too. Like Sauce Gardner would have a pass interference, and everybody, he sucks, and they don't pay attention to the fact that almost every other rep in that game, he shut down the other team's number one wide receiver.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And with Quincy, I just think they need to rework that linebacker room. And if this would have to take a lot of moving pieces, but if they decided to, let's say, pay Quincy and get out of the Jamie and Sherwood contract and then find a different linebacker, okay. I just think they need to start getting more defensive players who fits what Aaron Glenn wants to do. And both Jamie and Sherwood and Quincy Williams are small linebackers. I think they need a bigger linebacker who will be better against the run for these guys.
Yeah. Somebody's pointing out that it's the different McGovern for Buffalo. I was joking, but like, yeah, but the guy that they really did have on their line, I don't know if they still do, was the one that got Becton hurt. Remember the guy we hated? He's the one that fell into Becton's knee and initially hurt him.
Oh, Van Roten.
Van Roten did. I believe but I don't know if they still do, but I remember seeing Van Roten as a Buffalo Bill pretty recently.
That was a couple of years ago. It would have been 2023. 22. Yeah. He was there. So
I can't get that out of my head though, that Van Roten ended up playing for the Bills. Like after how bad he was for us.
Yeah, he did. He absolutely did. I think Seth has commented. And now, ironically enough, I can't find the comment, but he has commented Arch Manning no less than 66 times during this broadcast. Are you on team wait for the 2027 class for Arch? It feels like Seth is, and there are a lot of people that
you can't wait for a guy where there's no guarantee you're going to get him. Right? I mean, he's okay, and I'm not putting him down. I'm sure that it looks like he's starting to get the feel of the speed of the college game. Texas, he's starting to look really good. He was what if he stops? What if he's just like right now? If he flatlines right now, he's not. I mean, like, what are we talking about? He had a really good game against Vanderbilt. He's also had terrible games. So first of all, we need you have to. Not only are you waiting next year, assuming that you're going to be able to get him, you're also assuming that this is that he's stepping up, and that next year he's going to come in and be the guy, and not struggle against good teams, and be consistent. And I believe he will. I do. But I'm not enough to bet on it that I'm not going to take a quarterback and then say I'm going to bet on the fact that we're going to still stink enough that we're going to get the number one pick or number two. Like, if he's amazing, let's say he just gets better and better, and then next year he kills it. He's then going to be the number one pick, right?
Yeah, he will, yeah.
Right, so we're going to play to be the worst team in football again next year? We're going to root for 1-16 next year? Like, I'm just not on board with that. Unless... I mean, not for him. It wouldn't be for him. The only way I wouldn't take a quarterback this year if I'm the GM is if there's no one I like.
Yeah. It depends on, you might have Dante Moore in this class too, but you have names like Lagway from Florida, Arch Manning, Julian Sayin. Those are just a few right there off the top. The Nebraska quarterback, Raiola. And like I said, potentially even a guy like Dante Moore, or if Lenore Sellers decides to go back to school, he could be in this class next year. We don't know. I'm going to stand by if Mendoza or Simpson are there. My choice would be to take one of those two guys.
Okay. Yeah.
That's where I'm at right now. Subject to change in the next 6 months.
I'm more of a Mendoza guy, but I'm not going to cry. If they took Simpson, I wouldn't cry. I'm not gonna go through the roof mad. I'm just gonna be like nervous, like, okay, I hope we're doing the right thing, like that, But like, I'll never doubt a quarterback again because I've changed my whole philosophy. It's like I for sure I will never for certain say that a quarterback is not going to be a great player. Because I have no idea what's going to happen when they get to NFL coaching in an NFL system. I have no idea what's going to happen, right? So I'm not going to ever say it. I'm just going to say that who I feel the safest with. From what I've seen and what I've watched, I feel the safest with Mendoza. That doesn't mean anything against anybody else. They could all end up being great.
They all could be. And I also feel the safest with Mendoza. And if Moore comes, I think you got to hope that Moore comes out and you have a choice of the 3 guys there and that you're picking high enough. And I know they don't have the number 1 pick right now, but this team's going to be really bad the rest of the way. There's still a chance they could end up with the number 1 pick. They have to play Cleveland this week. They still have New Orleans on the schedule. I think New Orleans and Tennessee plays each other at one point. One of those teams are going to win that game. So, you know, they still could end up with the number 1 pick.
It's so early to be looking at that, like, and obsessed with that. Like, we blew it. So we're not getting the number 1 pick. Like, we have no idea. We have no idea. We could end up with 4 or 5 wins and be, way out of it. Or we could end up 1-16 or 2. We could end up 2-15. We could win another game and still get the number 1 pick. Like, we have no idea. Just like you said, it depends on who we lose to. If we do win again, who is it that we're beating? Like, if we lose to Miami and New Orleans, like you said, there's a very good chance we're going to be the number 1 pick.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. Oh, this might be the most positive Mo thing. Arch is learning from the best in the business. He is young and will be fine. We're going to stake Arch Manning to Mo Dean. We're doing this now.
Well, he gets to stick himself on a pretty good player because I am not sour on Arch Manning. I'm sour on waiting for him.
I'm
waiting and hoping and think too much could go wrong. But I'm not going to sit there. I just want to make sure you can put Modine to Arch, but also I want to make very clear I am not saying that Arch Manning will not be a good NFL football player one day. I think way too many people judged him by his first 3 or 4 college games.
Correct. Hey, I didn't think he was coming out this year. I always thought he was going to go back to school anyway. And it'd probably be good for him because I think he is playing better football now, which is obviously good for him. But if he has a big year next year, he's probably going to go number 1 overall. Dano says, bless you. Thank you for the show. Salute 95. Quinnen Williams. He should be remembered extremely fondly here. Quinnen Williams. He was through a lot of stuff with this Jets team since being drafted in 2019. A lot of bad, and I think he was been a good soldier through the whole process. Even with the trade talks, he didn't go public with it. He wasn't on social media like Jamal Adams. He wasn't, having his agent leak that Quinnen Williams wants out. I thought he handled it the right way.
Yeah. I mean, I have no hard feelings to any of these players. Like, and I don't. And if any of the players who wanted out at some point in your career, how do you blame them? Like, it's been a shit show. I'm not gonna judge any player who wants to get out of this. It's been a shit show. It's been ugly. The solid thing, and it's just that locker room was a mess. I mean, I don't blame a player for wanting a fresh start somewhere.
No, I don't.
I don't know if Quinnen Williams walked into a good situation. I think Dallas has been a shit show for a long time.
They have. I don't think they're a playoff team this year. I'd be surprised if they were a playoff team this year.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we are actually over 4:00. The show flew so fast I didn't even realize that it's 4:02. So we're gonna call it a day for now. Thank you so much for hanging out. We'll have a game reaction next week, but had to come on and break down the big news from yesterday. So if you're new here, make sure to like and subscribe. I'm Matt O'Leary. He's Jeremy. We'll catch you next time.
Peace.